As their own government has turned against them, what choice has CUPW had but to agree to go back to work without striking? And they have signed this. They've signed this proposal that they will go back to work and they won't strike. They're giving up their bargain chip because, again, what choice do they have just so that business can continue? And Canada Post said no. No. Because that's not what they want. They want to screw over their workers. The NDP keep pointing out over and over again in the House of Commons, if the Harper government is really so concerned about getting Canada Post going again, why don't they just open its doors? It is a public service. It is government regulated. One phone call from Stephen Harper would open the doors across the country for Canada Post. The workers could still, in theory, strike as they have been, rotating strikes, but they've agreed not to do this, as a matter of fact, and just go back to work. So that wouldn't even be an issue. And then the two could just bargain between each other without interrupting the service of mail. Now, that's pretty damn reasonable, don't you think? Not to the Conservatives, it isn't. Because that's not the intention. The reason why there was a strike in the first place was because they knew that Harper would support them. And that's why, even though an amendment to this bill is being called for to be reasonable, it's being ignored. Harper has done more than just ordering the workers back to work. He has taken it upon himself. He has taken it upon himself to lower the pay of the inside workers, lower than Canada Post is willing to pay them. Just, what the heck, I'll just lower their pay. I'm the Prime Minister, I can do that if I want to. Yeah, I'm not making this up, this is the truth. He just decided he's going to lower the pay, not by a lot, by a little bit. That might have been a strategy to get them to accept Canada Post's offer. But the thing about CUPW is that they're a militant union, and it's not too likely that they're going to accept any offers that are unreasonable. They have offered to go back to work and not strike anymore, and that is a damn reasonable move on their part, an offer on their part. But Harper has gone further than that even. He has instructed the arbitrator to pick one side or the other. This is the first time in history this has ever happened. An arbitrator is supposed to look at both sides and make his or her own decision about what is right in regards to both sides. But Stephen Harper has said you're going to pick one side or the other. But you've got to cut back on their pay by this amount. So what side is that then? Stephen Harper is saying you're going to do what I tell you to do, or you're going to stand against me. You know, there's so many people that I know around where I live, and I mean even good, honest, regular Christian people, that I keep hearing first saying, you know, I think Harper is kind of a dictator. I keep hearing people saying that, and I like that. I like that a lot of people are getting that. Yeah, he is. He is Canada's first dictator because he controls the whole damn system. He does whatever the hell he wants to, and no one dares step out of line with him. Although a couple of times recently, his party would stand up to him a little bit. He tried to create a 8-year term for the Senate, and they did stand against him on that. His own people, he puts in, they will protect their right to be able to stay there. The idea of a Senate, in theory, was so that these are old, wise men and women that are wiser than the government, and they're supposed to approve the bills. You know, they're older and wiser, but of course they don't have much power. They basically just do what they're told, what's expected of them, and so the NDP are arguing that they're worthless and they should just be removed. And I can understand the reasoning in that, but I think that the senators should be replaced by men and women with a little more fire in their belly and who are willing to fight for some things. The Senate should be powerful. I've said it before, the more that you can spread out power, the better. The less centralized power is, the better. Because the more centralized it is, you'll find the more corrupt it is. But anyway, Harper also tried to pass, he wanted to pass this action, or whatever they call it, in his party, which would prevent his own party from voting on their own leader. So essentially, they would have been stuck with him. He was trying to pass a bill that the party wouldn't have a right to decide who their leader was, essentially. They couldn't vote on their leader. So he was trying to protect himself, and they did vote against it. The Conservatives did vote against that. So they are holding on to their right to decide who their leader is, I guess. I mean, they won't stand up against him in any other way. They will follow suit in everything he says to do. But at least when it comes to saving their own skin, they do have a sense to defend themselves. But that's what it takes. At any rate, I feel so sorry for CUPW, and times are bad. We have to remember that the unions of this country have done a lot of good. We have a lot of the rights and privileges and health and safety regulations that we have thanks to unions. Maternity leave, for example, was first brought in to this country by CUPW, Canada Post Union. Whether you may not be in a union, you may never have been in a union, but we have all benefited from it, except for the rich, or for people who just stay on welfare and don't want to work. But for the rest of us, we benefited, whether we realize it or not, thanks to unions. And besides which, the more money in the hands of the people, the better the economy. But that's not what the Conservative Party at this time, under the rulership of Stephen Harper, is about, is it?